In the quiet landscapes of Sweden, there, where the morning smells of damp wood and the silence is louder than any goal celebration, a new day begins for Zlatan Ibrahimović. No floodlights, no shouts from the stands, no opponents, only narrow paths, cold wind, and steps that are no longer in a hurry. Here, no comeback begins. Here, something else begins. A life that has consciously slowed down. And it is exactly here that his story starts in the year 2025. The farm is not a refuge from the world. It is the result of a long journey. Far from the stadiums, Zlatan lives a daily life here characterized by simple routines. Time with the family, quiet mornings, clear thoughts. In this environment, a man is revealed who has nothing left to prove. This calm seems almost contradictory when one thinks of the Zlatan of old. The dominant striker who decided matches, who sought attention and received it. Yet it is precisely this contrast that makes his life today understandable. The silence here is no coincidence. It is a choice. In this natural landscape, his true story begins in 2025. Not as a footballer, not as a brand, but as a person. To understand how he found this serenity, one must look back at what he has built for himself over decades. Because this peace was not a gift, it was earned. What did Zlatan have to leave behind to arrive here? And what price did this quiet life really have? Talking about Zlatan Ibrahimović means talking about a player who consistently turned his personality into value. His career was not just successful, it was defining. With a fortune of around $190 million, he built an empire over the years, carried by goals, big contracts, and a brand that was just as dominant as his appearance on the pitch. At Manchester United, he reached one of his financial peaks, up to $35 million per season, even in his last year with injuries, still around $27 million. That was more than a salary, it was a sign of respect. Zlatan decided games, drove jersey sales, and determined the public image of the club. In 2018, the step followed that many misunderstood. The move to LA Galaxy for $1.4 million seemed like a step back. For Zlatan, it was a precisely calculated decision. He recognized the potential of the American market early on. While his official salary dropped, income from advertising, image, and side businesses grew more strongly than before. His time at Ajax, Juventus, Inter, Barcelona, AC Milan, and PSG also contributed significantly to his fortune. In Italy, his contracts were mostly between $8 and $12 million per year, supplemented by high-performance bonuses. In Barcelona, his annual salary approached $14 million. In Paris, his global presence reached its peak. Over the years, Zlatan moved more than $20 million annually, but the decisive factor was not the amount, but the control. Investments in real estate, brands, and media projects, as well as his enormous reach, made his name an independent economic factor. Zlatan did not follow the market, he defined it. This financial and personal control created the foundation for his lifestyle today. Because only those who know their own value can afford to slow down. But what does someone who has achieved everything do with this freedom? And where does a life lead when money and fame no longer drive you? On the northern shore of Lake Ruskin, Zlatan Ibrahimović lives today in a place that is deliberately quiet. A private peninsula surrounded by water and wind, far away from everything that used to surround him. Here, every day begins without noise, without expectation, without haste. The narrow path to the farm leads through tall trees and ends at Tegelviken, the low-slung main house. Red wood, large windows, light from the south. Nothing seems accidental. This house doesn't want to show who Zlatan is. It lets him find peace. Inside, everything is bright and minimal. Conversations grow quieter, thoughts slower. Further forward, slightly elevated, the manor house opens up with an unobstructed view over the lake. Wooden floors creak softly, rooms breathe silence. In the living area, the interior and nature blur. The lake is always present. The kitchen remains simple, made for long winter evenings when the world outside stands still. In the upper rooms, this tranquility intensifies. The light falls calmly on the walls. The water seems closer. Near the shore, two small houses are hidden among the vegetation. A bed, a lamp, a terrace over the water. That's all it takes to arrive. Behind the buildings, the land opens up. Meadows, forests, 160 hectares of nature. Paths where Zlatan walks at dawn, at a pace that previously only football knew. Fishing and hunting rights additionally connect him to this place, not as a sport, but as part of a cycle. Zlatan has not built an estate here. He has created a state of being. Quiet here is not a goal, it is the starting point. But what happens when silence becomes everyday life? And how do you fill a life when there is nothing left to prove? From the silence of the farm, Zlatan's story leads further onto the road. His cars are no accident. They reflect two sides of the same person: power and control, calm and presence. The Audi RS6 Avant is his everyday car, a family car with the performance of a sports car. Quiet when he wants it to be, brutal when he touches the gas pedal. In Paris, Zlatan Ibrahimović used it daily, moving through narrow streets with the same natural ease with which he used to dominate defenders. The Ferrari Daytona SP3 seems completely different, a car that cannot be hidden, lines that demand attention, an engine that radiates presence even before it is started. When Zlatan drives it, he does not accelerate to impress. The car takes over this task on its own. The Ferrari SF90 Spider shows a rare, lighter side. Open roof, wind, brief moments of pure enjoyment. A car for moments when pressure and control briefly disappear. The Porsche 918 Spider combines both worlds. Quiet when peace is required, mighty when power is needed. Zlatan steps out as if it were something everyday. For him, it is. Control without a show. And then there is the Volvo XC60. Unspectacular, safe, reserved. The car that seeks no attention. It is precisely in this that Zlatan seems most authentic. Here, he is not the headline, but simply a man moving through silence. This garage does not scream luxury. It tells of character, power, moderation, enjoyment, and restraint. Yet behind all the possessions, another side reveals itself. What happens when power becomes quiet? And how does someone use their influence when no one is watching? Away from cars, possessions, and the public eye, there exists a side of Zlatan Ibrahimović that hardly makes headlines, a side that remains deliberately quiet. During the pandemic, when Italy reached its limits, he donated 100,000 euros and initiated a campaign to raise 1 million euros for hospitals in Milan and Bergamo. No appearance, no big staging, only action. Years earlier, he returned to Malmo and financed the construction of the Zlatan Court, a project worth around $500,000, created for the children of his neighborhood, a place where they can play without fear, with the same dream he once had. Internationally, he also engaged in the fight against hunger. Together with the World Food Program, he supported projects with around $900,000 and gave them visibility. Additionally, more than $300,000 flowed through his own foundation into education and health programs for children in difficult life situations. All of this happened without cameras, without speeches. Zlatan's help does not seek applause, it seeks impact. In these moments, a man is revealed who does not want to dominate, but who can support. But who is Zlatan when even help becomes quiet? And what does life look like when strength no longer needs to be shown? Today, Zlatan Ibrahimović moves with a calm that once seemed unimaginable. The mornings begin on the terrace, with a hot coffee, the cool Swedish light, and moments without haste. He reads, thinks, or simply lets the day begin. His family is at the center of this life. Elena, his longtime partner, remains deliberately in the background. Their two sons, now teenagers, are the part of his life he protects most strongly. With them, he shares quiet training sessions, short trips, and conversations far from expectations in the public eye. The discipline has remained. Zlatan continues to train seriously, lifting heavy weights as if to show his body that power is still there. When he is not training, he seeks nature. Saunas with views of forests, cold baths in the snow, long walks. Moments in which life becomes simple again. Here, he no longer needs a stage. Strength is not shown in noise, but in the control over one's own rhythm. Zlatan's life today is not a retreat, but a conscious choice. Less noise, more clarity. Rituals instead of applause. Freedom instead of pressure. In this silence, his greatness seems almost even clearer than on the pitch. If you want to see more real stories about the lives of football stars away from the spotlight, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Every video shows a side that is rarely seen.